Morning.
This sitting here.
Maybe he'll bring us all with him. Maybe he'll bring us all with him.
Oh, I got it. Is it Omer Aleph?
Kuf Mem Gimel. Yeah.
Omer Aleph?
Yeah. We're around. Okay, good morning. All right, we're around. Good morning. We're around a third of the way down on Kuf Mem Gimel. How about that? Thank you. Kuf Mem Gimel. Hishkoyach. Amalei Rav Mordechai. So I don't know, on 15 lines from the top, a third of the way down.
You don't see Rav Mordechai too often.
Let's see Rav Mordechai. Amalei Rav Mordechai Ravashi. So yesterday we were discussing a case, right? A guy says, Chazar, right? A guy says you acquire this like a donkey. So a donkey doesn't acquire. So therefore you also won't acquire. But if you say you and the donkey acquire, so that was a three-way machlokas, right? Some say that doesn't work at all. Since the donkey doesn't work, you don't get anything. Others say since you and the donkey acquire really means that you get your half, but the donkey, it's ineffective for the donkey's half because donkeys can't acquire things. So therefore you only get half. And the other one says you and the donkey acquire it, you get the whole thing. That was Rav Sheshes. So Amar Leir Mordechai Rav Ashi, Samesi Rav Avia, Tiyufta. So Rav Avia said Tiyufta. What was the Tiyufta? Samaisa b'chamish nashim v'hen shtei achayas. So there was a case. Eddie, you got it? Kuf Mem Gimel. Yeah,
Kuf Mem Gimel.
Oh, yeah. Right. So he's right smack. Yeah. So he said a guy went to 5 women. And amongst the women, there were 2 sisters in there. All right, so these are details that really not needed for our case. And so the guy took, it was during Shemitah, and he took from their crops, and he basically took these figs, and he says, "V'amar harei kulchem mekudeshes li bekilkala zos." All of you are mekudeshes to me, all 5 of you, including the 2 sisters, with this basket of figs. The kiblo achas mehen, and one of them accepted on behalf of all of them. Ayidei kulon. So amru chachamim ein achayos mekudeshes. The sisters are not mekudeshes. Right, so there's 2 sisters. They Rachel and Leah in there, not, but the other 3 are mekudeshes there.
And neither of them are. As opposed to one of them could have been.
Right, neither of them are. So, right, because the issue over there is neither one is Roy Labia, right? He can't. No. I'm saying he can't be married to both, right? So therefore, since it's not Roy Labia, so therefore the kedushin is not chal. So it says achayos hudei mekudeshes. Okay, so the sisters are not, but the other 3 are nachrios. But the other 3, right, independent ones mekudeshes. This is a case of ad v'chomer acquire it. He's acquiring half the things, right? Half of them are not nogeh because he can't be mekudesh to 2 sisters. So we basically disregard that, and the other 3 are mekudesh to him. So you see, it works. Samarley.
Wait.
All right, I'll wait.
He was trying to be mekudesh. With produce of.
So I said these are details that are discussed in the Gemara there. He was using stuff which is hefker, right? The Shemitah, and he was using that on his, for himself, right? So I said those are details there what the Gemara brings out. I guess they learned from here. So right, so that's what I said. These are details. These are details of the Gemara there. But the point that we're, forget that detail, right? But the point that is effective for 3, not effective for 2. Why? It's like
shouldn't even be effective for.
So you got to see the Gemara there.
Doing business with.
Right. So I said you got to see the Gemara there, right? We do not go. The Gemara does not go into that, and so that clearly brings out all the halachas over there. So Amalei, Hainu the Chazi. So he says, Amalei, Hainu the Chazi Rav Huna bar Avia b'Chalma. Right. This is actually I saw in my dream. Right. Rav Huna bar Avia. In my dream he asked this kasha. Rav Avia Tiyufta. Right, so he says that. In other words, that he asked a kasha, the Moshe Rav Avia Tiyufta, right, in his dream. So lav miukimna da amar harui mekem labia tiskadishli. Over there, the established case says he says those of you who are fit who roi labia will be mikudeshes to me. So immediately it wasn't at the chamor. He excluded the chamor. He excluded the sisters, and therefore he says only those of you are 50 for Labia will be Mekudeshesli, and therefore that was excluding the other two, and therefore that's not a good raya from over there.
So if I just need one to get dishes, pick a six to one of them could be.
But the kulka, because they use the word kulka. So all is one or one for all. So therefore, right. But they said ki'ilu. They said right. The Amar Arim Mekem Labia Tiskadeshli. So now, right, it would be if all are Mekudeshes, if each one, if all of them are Mekudeshes, would you be Roy Labi or not? So sister A would not be, and sister B would not be, right? But once again, these are, Gemara's, the problem is we just did Kedushin like 2 years ago. So you gotta wait, yeah. So you gotta go back 5 years. We'll see it soon when we get to that Masechta. All right. Excuse me. A person said to his wife, Nichsi lach ulvanecha. My nechasim, after I write, will go to you and my sons. Let's say he has 2 boys. So, ulvanayach, your sons. Your sons. So we'll go to you and your sons. Samarav said, she acquires half of it. When you say you and a group, it means you get a half and the group gets half. You guys divided 50-50, you and the group.
Her children from another husband.
It is no. They're rightly Yareshem. They're rightly Yareshem. In other words, he's saying it to your kids.
2 wives.
No, that's even right. But even if he says to his own wife, even if
he has 2 wives,
even if he has one wife,
no, but I think,
even if he has one wife, it's just his regular wife, and he says,
then he said,
right, because normally
yeah,
the children are Yareshem, right? So we'll see. Over here, he's adding his wife. You and the kids will inherit me. You and the kids. So let's see, what does that mean? And she gets half. She gets half, and her 4 kids also get the other half.
Right.
So she ends up with $50, and they each end up with $12.50. Right? She has 4 kids. I can do 4s, I can do 5s, 6s, I can't, but do 3. So it's So how do I know this? The time in the price of Rabbi Yomer, the pasuk says v'hoisel Aaron Levanov. Right, it says over there by the lechem apanim. It says over there Aaron Levanov gets. So he's over the Kohen Gadol gets half,
Right.
and Aaron's sons get the other half.
Right.
It's divided 50-50. It says Aaron Ubanov, right? A single and a group. So Maxal Aaron, Maxal Levanov. So there's a proof when you ever include a single individual and a group, the individual gets 50 because he was singled out, and then the group gets 50. So Amar Le Abaye, so Abaye says, wait, Aaron Bar Chalukahu. Over there, Aaron was fit to get a piece. He was already included, and that's why he was singled out. And he was already getting, but why did it say you and the sons? Meaning that you get more than your extra amount that you would have gotten, just as one of the Kohanim, you get half. However, Isha, in the case of a guy with his wife and his kids, Lav Bas Yerushi, she would not go ahead and
Tomorrow.
She would not go ahead and Yarshin. We'll discuss it after. We'll get the thing through. So he says Isha Lav Bas Yerushi, but in the case of the Isha, right? She's not really included in the Yerusha at all. So he has 4 boys. It should be 25% each one. So why is he keep saying the wife, right? So Isha La Basrushi. So Dai Shatito Minabanim. So she should really only get like one of the boys. And that's already an inclusion, right? Really, you get 0. And I say you and the boys, meaning you get a chelik of the boys. In the case of Aaron, he was already one of the boys. So why'd you single out Aaron to give him half? But in this case, you could argue and say, no, maybe the woman should only get equal to that of the boys. In the case of Hanjal, she should get $20 each.
She's equal to 1 child, or she's
Right.
Exactly. So originally we said you get 50%. Look at the pasuk of Aaron. Aaron got 50%, but that's different. Aaron was already included. Why was he singled out? To get half. The woman here wasn't already included. Why was she singled out? To give her the same portion as the others. Gemara says, This might happen in Nahardia. Like a guy said to his wife and his sons, and Shmuel gave her half. But Rabbi Yechon gave her half. The Su, and furthermore, Kiyasa Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Yosef Amar. Oh, to make Kalalia, Kalila, the Shadu Bay, the Bay Malka, Vule va Truge. So there was a case of the expense of the crown of the king that was basically thrown on the community, and they threw it upon the wealthy and on the officers, the officials. So Amar Rabbi Nisvu Avule Palga. So let the wealthy bring half, and let the officers let them bring half. So you see, they mentioned two groups, each one 50-50. So you see clearly that 50-50, when there's two groups, an officer and the wealthy, whatever it is, it means each one mentioned gets a portion. So therefore it's 50-50. Once again, it says no, we can't compare. I can compare to. Over there, originally, if they would have just said the Jewish community has to go ahead and pay for the king's crown, right? It would have been basically on the wealthy. And the officials, the officers, they would have helped out the wealthy a little bit, but it was mainly on the wealthy. The Yad Malka, the Havi Komisai, and then the king knew that they would help them a little bit. So Hashta, So okay, if that's the case, if they're already going to help a little bit, why were they included in the official, official command of you guys pay? So Hashamai the Kasvi, Abulev Astrugi. So over there, why they include them with the wealthy and the officers? Lamemra, Dani Palka, to say that each one goes out and pays 50-50. So 2 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Zera Haimer Hare Alai Mincha Mea Isaron Lahavi B'Shnei Kalim. So a person says, I will go ahead and bring a mincha offering of 100 Yisraelim. Now, the halacha is that the mincha only has certain limitations. It has to be able to mix, right? And that is up to 60 Yisraelim. So a guy says, I'm going to bring a huge mincha, the greatest mincha. It's going to be huge, right? It's the greatest mincha ever brought, right? Yeah. So the Avi B'Shnei Kalim has to be brought in two vessels. Maybe Shishim B'Kli Echad, but Arbim B'Kli Echad. So one of them you max out at 60, and then the other 40 go in the other one. All right, that's how you do. You bring it 60-40, because 60 is the max, and then the leftover goes in the next one, which is 40. Now, Vim Hevi Chamisha B'Kli Echad, Chamisha B'Kli Echad. But if you bring one and 50, the other and 50, then Yatsa, you have fulfilled your obligation. The Gemara says Im Hevi In. Sounds like, okay, if you brought it, yes, it works. But you should have 60-40. Now, if you talk that's a call palga, and if you say every time you have two groups or two things, that should be 50-50, right? I'm bringing in 2 kalim, it should be 50-50 in this case, right? You should be able to go ahead and bring it 50 in each. So the Gemara says once again, you can't compare the two. Over here, we know what's the reason why this guy said I'm going to bring a mincha 100, because he wants to bring the greatest mincha. I want to bring a huge mincha, right? I want to bring one giant mincha of 100. But technically, behind the kamer shnei came. So why do you say 2 vessels? The other because he knows that you can't bring anything more than 60 in one kli. It's not able to mix. It's too thick. Right? So kama the so therefore we look into his intentions, and that which he wanted to go ahead and do, so he wanted to bring the biggest one. So therefore, really his intentions were to bring one at the maximum size, which is 60, and the other one will be the other 40. The Hilchasa, oh shoot, I forgot. I have to look it up. The Hilchasa Karav Yosef. Right. Right. So the from Rav Yosef. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We'll see where Rav Yosef is for a second.
What?
Where's Rav Yosef? Amar Rav Yosef. Kansamach. Oh, she gets half. Oh, okay. So now it's halacha v'hilchasa. I just lost place. V'hilchasa kavasi Rav Yosef. Then halacha over here is like Rav Yosef. Besada in 3 cases, besada inyan of mechza, right? Our case is the case of mechza. That Rav Yosef holds that an individual in a group, the person gets 50-50. The other two cases of Rav Yosef, where the halacha is like it was one in the case of a field, when a person is he bequeaths down to his sons, and one of his sons can insist on an equal portion, but next to his other fields. That's the case of Sadi, he can insist on it. And Inyan is a person can be Chayz and Chalipin, as long as they're still discussing Isa Inyan, the person can retract that Kinyan as long as they're still talking about it. Once you stop, then the Kinyan is Cham. Fine. Hahu, around 10 lines from the top of Kuf Mem Gimel on my base, may our finger in the place. So, Hahu, the Shudder. A person sent clothing, right, silk to his household, to his members of his house. So Amr B'Yami, Harui Labani Labanim, right? Those that are fit for his sons, right? He sent pants, right? Those go to the sons, right? Labanis, and the dresses, those go to the daughters, right? His daughters. Amran Al Delesle Kalasa. It's only said if he doesn't have any daughter-in-laws. Aval Isle Kalasa, but if he has a daughter-in-law, then the Kalasa Shadeh. And then that means he sent it to his daughters, his daughter-in-laws, excuse me. So the female clothing goes to daughter-in-laws. However, the Bansei lo nesiva, but if his daughters are not married yet, and just obviously his daughter-in-law is, he would never go ahead and not send his daughters and send to his daughter-in-law. So it goes like this. If his daughters are married, so okay, they're married, and therefore the girl gift goes to his daughter-in-laws, right? So his own daughters, let your father-in-law take care of you. But if his daughters weren't married yet, then he's not going to skip over his own daughters who don't have a husband and give it to his daughter-in-law. Those will go to his daughters.
Why wouldn't you just send both the daughters and the daughters?
Why? Because I guess they have husbands, right? And in-laws, right?
She has to be a daughter-in-law after marriage, right?
Right. I'm just looking at the Rashbam. He says one at both, but yeah, fine. So so the Rashbam doesn't say right. So it just says what his intentions were. It doesn't give the reason why it doesn't include both. A guy says my nechasim will go to my sons, plural. Havile baru barsa. He had a son and a daughter. And he says this will go to my sons. Does a person call his son my sons? Or maybe a person doesn't call his son my sons. And then maybe he's including his daughter. When he says my sons, it means my son and my daughter.
He should have said children.
He should have said children, but he didn't. You're right. But he didn't. Listen, the son of Dan, right? The children of Dan was Chushim, one person, right? So B'nai Dan, the sons. The sons. So he says, the sons of Dan was Chushim. So you see clearly that the word sons can even refer to one individual. Samarle Rava, no, maybe over there it's like Tana Bechizke Shayim Ruben Kechushim Shalkana. Right? Really, that Chushim actually wasn't his name. It just meant that Chushim was that they were a big cluster, a big group of reeds, right? That he had so many children, a big cluster of reeds. So too, maybe that's not Pshat. Maybe Taka had Bonai. Taka had children, many children, and it wasn't Badat his name Chushim. Rather, he had multitudes of children. Well, maybe right. So Ella, but we'll bring other rights. Ella Marava ubnei Palua Eliyav, right? And Rav Yosef ubnei Eitan Azariah. So you see over there, he uses the word bnei, the children of, plural, and it lists one person. So you see clearly a person can say, "I'm giving it to my sons," referring to only one son and not his daughter. And suddenly I would nichsai lebanai. He says, "Okay, my nechasim will go to my sons." And Havile bra ubarbara. He had a son and also a grandson. So do we say Kara'inchi lebarbara bara? Do people call their grandson their sons? Hello or not? So Rav Chaviva Amar Kara'inchi lebarbara bara. No, people indeed call their grandson their son. Amar Rav Ashi Amar loy Kara'inchi lebarbara bara. No, people do not call their grandsons their son. And Tanya Kavasi the Mabravashi, we have a price in support of the latter opinion, Mabravashi, because a person says Hamudar Hanami Banim, right? A person says, I will not get any hana for my sons. Mutter b'bnei banim. He's mutter to get hana from his grandson. So you see clearly that my sons it talks about his sons and not his grandson.
Their father or grandmother, but people call their grandfather their
actually, right. I thought the halacha would actually go the other way on the brisa, but then I was wrong. I said, okay, maybe an Isser is different than other. Okay, I don't know. Fine. So Naya Mishnah. The Mishnah says, person dies and he has sons. All of them are fit to the Yarsham, gets an equal portion, but some of them are older, and he has some younger ones. So they go ahead, and the Gedalim increase the value of the estate. So their Hashbichu, right, their improvement of the field, it comes from the field itself. In other words, with the field itself, they don't put their own private money in, but they use the proceeds of the field to reinvest in the field, and therefore then it goes up in value. Then everyone gets it. Not only the gedolim who worked it, but even the katana. However, but he says, hey, see what father left us right now? See what today's value is? We're going to go ahead and put in extra work on ourselves, and we're going to take the extra profit because we're putting in the extra money and work. They do indeed go ahead and get the selfish act by a brother, not a good brother. So to a woman, we'll soon have to explain the case where she inherited an estate along with others, and she improved it. I guess using the estate. So everyone equally shares that. However, but if she says, hey, see what my husband left. This is today's value. Hare ani Isa, and she says, okay, this is today's value. It's worth $1 million. I'm going to go ahead and work it and reinvest it to put your money in. So she goes ahead. She does it. No, this is the same thing.
No, it's the same thing, but not selfish act.
Well, she's putting. That's what we said last time.
Individually for her.
The what?
It's individually for her.
Well,
she doesn't share it with anyone, right?
Right, but the other brother. No. In this case, she inherited it with others. She inherited it with others.
She put money in
Let's say with other sons. Let's say Katanim. Right, same pop. She says, "Hey, listen, today's pie is worth $1 million, so you're gonna get 500,000. I'm gonna go ahead and improve it. It was added 200,000 in value, so she's gonna take 700,000, and they'll only get 500,000. So real quick, Amar Rav Chaviv, Rav Yosef, Rav Rava, Mishmei de Rava, Lo Yishtanu Elas B'Shvichu Min Nechasim, Machmas Nechasim. We're talking about when they basically use the proceeds of the estate to go ahead and use those proceeds for it to go ahead and basically grow itself. And therefore, but if they came out of pocket, even though they never made a stipulation, they get the money. They indeed do get it, even if they didn't stipulate it. So the Gemara says, "Ain't this true?" Even if the father let them in Odaini, like a watering hole. Right? Nevertheless, the profit, they rented it out, and Odain is like a watering hole. So the profit they rented out is split between those who do it. Basically, the way to improve it or whatever it is basically make sure someone watches it and does not go ahead and steal the water inside the pit. So the older brothers went ahead and watched the pit. They said, okay, so therefore we should get the extra scar. So you see over here that even if it comes from their own work, they still have to. Should it be split? It's still split. So Gemara says no. No, the only difference over here, the only work, quote unquote, work that's done is watching it. Right? And even the katana can go ahead and watch it. Since the katana go ahead and watch, it's not considered to be something that they invested in. It's something that all the brothers can do, and that's the reason why, in that case, even though they happen to do it, that everyone goes ahead and everyone goes ahead and divides that stuff evenly, because the older brothers didn't do extra work because the younger brothers could have done that too. So we'll stop here. Let's say let's go.